team post-fuel subsidy regime, exploring other options for a sustainable urban transportation system in Nigeria. This team is deemed critical and timely given recent developments in the transportation industry. But thankfully, the nation is blessed with an array of technocrats and industry experts imbued with feasible solutions to seemingly endemic transportation challenges in our sector. We humbly want to reiterate a standing role, as stated earlier, but please kindly mute your mics unless you are called upon to speak so that we will have an organized and orderly conversation here. In view of other important activities our distinguished guests may have scheduled for the day, we will be a bit more stringent on time. So please, if you are given 1 minute or 2 minutes as the case may be, let us kindly cooperate and ensure that we run this program smoothly and effectively. On this note, please, I will ask for permission to welcome the Executive Secretary of Nigeria Transportation Commissioners Forum, as she gives her welcome address.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mrs. Chinwe Webute, the Executive Secretary of Nigeria Transportation Commissioners Forum. I welcome you all to our third pre-event conversation.
When I click the video, they'll be seeing me, but
that's when they'll start seeing you.
I've not seen Chinwe.
You don't think Chinwe, see TPC there now.
See me here now, I'm there.
Can we please mute our mics?
I sent something to your WhatsApp now.
Can we please mute our mics?
I want it pasted here so that half is that thing.
Can we please mute our mics?
I was thinking if you had said you would have sent it to my mail now, which is easier.
Mics, please. Mute your mic. Kindly mute your mic.
The first thing I want to say is
Director, please, can you mute your mic?
Whether you are MTN or any other platform, social media, conventional platform.
Kindly mute your mic, please. If you Yeah, I'm sorry for the little break. the future of our
Hello? Hello?
nation's urban mobility, and they stand at a critical juncture where the dynamics of our urban transportation system needs to undergo transformational shifts. The dismantling of the fuel subsidy regime marks a pivotal moment that demands our attention. And collaborative exploitation, we harness this juncture to usher in a paradigm shift towards sustainable urban transportation system that aligns with global effort, the quality of citizenry. As we delve into the discussions that lie ahead, it is vital that we recognize the significance of police only on the technological dimensions first. Our deliberations will encompass a broad spectrum of options, ranging from investment in public transportation, electric CNG and hybrid vehicles, and establishment of integrated mobility solutions. Experts will shed light on alternatives and solutions to ease the burden of citizens. I urge all of us to actively participate in sharing our expertise, harnessing the power of knowledge, innovation, and collaboration to pave the way for a sustainable urban transportation system that will shape a better future for Nigeria and the generations to come. I am confident that we would have a robust conversation at this webinar. And from the Secretariat of the Nigeria Transportation Commissioners Forum, I want to welcome you once again. Having said that, this is my pleasure. It is my pleasure to welcome the moderator of today's webinar to take over the proceedings. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, the Executive Secretary, for that warm welcome address. As you have said, we look forward to insightful deliberations that will reshape the transportation system, which has become a dire need in these times. We now want to listen to the Permanent Secretary, Niger State Ministry of Transportation, as he gives the remarks of the Nigeria Transportation Commissioners Forum. Permanent Secretary, please, you have 5 minutes. Is the Niger State Permanent Secretary with us, please?
Yeah, he is. Niger Permanent Secretary, can you please unmute and speak to us?
Sir, please, if you can't hear us, kindly unmute.
It's not function, it's not. Hello?
We can hear you now. Please go ahead, sir.
You can hear me. Thank you very much. Thank you. and a mind-blowing time. Thank you very much. All the best. God bless. Thank you. Hello.
Yes, please go ahead, sir.
Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Very good. Hello? Hello?
Please go ahead, sir.
Yes, like I said, thank you for the opportunity. I would like to welcome all the participants to this webinar session. I wish us mind-blowing, insightful deliberation, and I wish us all the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you for keeping it brief, sir. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. That brings us on the scale of the program of events to goodwill messages. And to kick that off, we have the National President, National Association of Road Transport Owners of Nigeria. Please, you have 2 minutes. Is the NATO president with us, please?
NATO president is here, yeah.
Please go ahead with your goodwill message, sir. Hello, sir. It does appear the NATO president is having difficulties with his network. At this point, we want to move on to the second goodwill message for the day, and that is to be handled by the president, chairman of council, the Chartered Institute of Transport Administration of Nigeria, Prince Segun Obayendo. Please, sir, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you very much, distinguished operators and practitioners in the industry that are here this afternoon. Permit me to stand on the existing protocol. Mine is just to wish the Nigerian Transport Commissioners Forum the very best in their quest to ensure that we can cope very well and effectively as far as the fuel subsidy is concerned, and that we are not just coping, but that we acquire the necessary knowledge and what will make us to be on top of the situation and not the other way around. It's true, very true, challenging time, critical time for each and every one of us. And with the quest for more knowledge about alternatives that are available, about what we can do differently, about how to navigate the current trajectory and narrative cannot be overemphasized. So I want to align myself to the objective of today's webinar, and I do hope that we will come out of this webinar today better informed, better positioned to be able to embrace all the alternatives, especially as it concerns gas, be it CNG, be it electric cars, and all the alternatives that are there for us to utilize. We have left them on tap because our fuel was cheap. But now that the fuel is this high, I think we are compelled and will be forced to think differently. So I want to wish us the very best of deliberation today. Thank you very much. I bring good regards from the Institute, the Charter Institute of Transport Administration. Thank you so much. I'm grateful.
Madam, I can't hear
Goodwill
anything or
message?
no audio. Can you hear them?
Oh,
I have. Even
Moving
if I
on to the
unmute,
third
I'm not
goodwill
hearing.
message.
It's unmuted, but I'm not hearing.
Mr. Ibrahim, sir, we can hear you.
We
Can you
hear
please
you
mute?
comfortably. Moving on to the third goodwill message, we want to listen to the Chairperson, House Committee on Land and Rail Transportation, Federal House of Representatives, Honorable Blessing Uno. Please, you're welcome.
Sure, she's here. Moderator, please proceed. They are having challenge. They will join us. They are having challenge with their network.
Okay, when they do join us, we'll look forward to that goodwill message from the Chairperson.
Okay, I understand they're looking for NATO president, right?
We are moving on to the special remarks and declaration
Moderator,
of
the NATO
event.
president is ready, please. I guess NATO president is ready. Can we take him, moderator, please?
Yes, we can. NATO president, please. Your goodwill message. 2 minutes,
good
please.
afternoon, gentlemen. It is a great honor and privilege to be in your midst today as one of the persons given the goodwill message. You know, this important event will not have come at a better time. It is very apt. As far as we are concerned, we are the major, stakeholders affected with the full deregulation of the downstream sector. Of course, we have a lot of issues to discuss. There are, of course, a lot of pros and cons. So it will not have come at a better time wherein we'll discuss a lot of issues from now, tomorrow, and the conclusion of the events. So on behalf of NATO, I welcome every participant, and I hope that everybody will feel free to discuss and exchange issues and ideas so that we reach the desired objective. Thank you so much.
Thank you too for keeping it brief, sir. And because of your importance in the road transport subsector, that's why you were scheduled to give a very kind goodwill message. We appreciate that. We now move on to the special remarks and declaration of the road event conversation series open, to be taken by the Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Transportation, ably represented by the Director, Road Transport and Mass Transit Administration. Sir, please, you have 10 minutes. Is the Director here with us, please?
Yeah, he is. I can see him here.
Sir, please kindly unmute and speak if you can hear us.
I'm waiting for you.
Hello?
Please go ahead, sir. We can hear you.
Can you hear me, please?
Loud and clear, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. My name is Musa Ibrahim, Director, Road Transport and Mass Transit Administration. I want to start by presenting my Permanent Secretary's remark to this August gathering. So I'll start with that now. Remarks by the Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Transportation, Dr. Magdalene Ajani, at the pre-event webinar conversation of the Second National Transport Technology Conference and Exhibition 2023 on the theme Post-Fuel Subsidy Regime, Exploring Other Options for a Sustainable Public Urban Transportation System, holding today, 29th August 2023. It is my honor and pleasure to be part of the pre-event webinar conversation of the Second National Transport Technology Conference and Exhibition on the theme Post-Fuel Subsidy Regime, Exploring Other Options for a Sustainable Public Urban Transportation System. The theme of the conversation is apt and pertinent, coming at a time that government has taken decisive steps on removal of fuel subsidy in the country. You will agree with me that removal of fuel subsidy in petroleum, that is premium motor spirit, is a highly sensitive and contentious issue in view of its effect on the economy. To ease the financial strains, foster market competition, and address environmental issues, many nations have abandoned fuel subsidies. Fuel subsidies have been considered as one of the major factors resulting in inefficiency, price distortions, resource misallocation, corrupt practices, illegal trade and smuggling, among others. Removal of fuel subsidies will enable government shift funding to other top priority areas like infrastructure development, healthcare and education, as well as promote the use of greener and more sustainable energy sources. In support of the efforts to tackle climate change on global scale, as you are aware, transport enables global trade. It is a crucial driver of economic growth and social development, connecting people to jobs, education, healthcare, agriculture, manufacturing, among others. It is instructive to note that removing fuel subsidies could also result in higher petroleum costs, leading to an increase in operational costs of transportation sector, which impacts on other sectors of the economy and may disproportionately affect people with low incomes and intensify inflationary pressures. To address these challenges and mitigate the impact of the fuel subsidies removal, government is putting in place palliative measures such as social safety net to safeguard the most vulnerable groups, effective and efficient transport infrastructure to boost economic expansion and invest in the transportation industry, with focus on public transit system, including buses, trains, bicycles, and others to increase public mobility while reducing commuting costs. Other relevant measures under consideration by the government are introduction of solar electric powered vehicles, especially for public transport system, development and introduction of high-speed trains, introduction of the compressed natural gas, CNG, and liquefied natural gas, LNG, as viable alternatives to PMS. These are several potential advantages, including lower costs, reduced emissions, and improved fuel efficiency. Provide support for initial investment required to retrofit existing vehicles and CNG and LNG engines. Establish a robust distribution infrastructure for CNG and LNG and promote policies and incentives to enhance the use of CNG and LNG in the country. Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, the key strategy of government is to attain a diversified economy through diversification of transport infrastructure and energy sources. It is therefore expedient to embark on developing diversified modes of transport and fuel energy sources in order to actualize a diversified economy and sustainable development. By diversifying the energy mix, reducing dependence on fossil fuel, and promoting clean energy initiatives, the impact of fuel subsidy removal will be mitigated. Increased investment in renewable energy will not only contribute to a sustainable future, but also create job opportunities and stimulate economic growth. At this juncture, I would like to express the commitment of the Federal Ministry of Transportation towards working with the relevant stakeholders and to ensure successful implementation of these laudable initiatives, which will enable Nigeria attain sustainable public urban transportation system, as well as benefit optimally from the opportunities inherent in the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area after agreement, excuse me, to which Nigeria is a signatory. I thank you all for your time, and God continue to bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That is the opening statement, the remark by the Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Transportation, Dr. Magdalene Ajani, read on her behalf by my humble self. Thank you. What is next here?
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. We appreciate that well remarks you have given us from the Permanent Secretary. We definitely agree with that statement. The citizens are feeling the impact of fuel subsidy removal, and that is why the Commissioners Forum has taken this decisive step to bring together stakeholders who will collaboratively bring out solutions to what we are facing at the moment. Once again, thank you, sir. Now I want to move on to the order of the day.
Okay, please.
But before we do that, we wish to recognize the presence of the guest speaker, the Director General, National Automotive Design and Development Council, Jelani Aliu. You're welcome, sir. We also wish to recognize discussants who will be part of the team conversation. Mr. Musa Ibrahim, we just listened to him from the Federal Ministry of Transportation, that is the Director of Road Transport and Mass Transit Administration. We also have present with us Professor Charles Aseneme. We have Professor Samuel Udewumi of Chartered Institute of Transport Administration of Nigeria. We have Engineer Sadiq Abubakar, the Chief Executive Officer of Phoenix Renewables. We have Prince Shegun Obayendo, the National President of Chartered Institute of Transport Administration of Nigeria, and Professor Ishaku Abna from the University of Abuja, Federal Capital Territory. And finally, we have Dr. Alban Igwe, who is also going to be a discussant, and Mr. Olufonsho Amor, the Executive Chairman and Founder, Fonte Group, as discussant. You're all welcome, sirs and ma'ams. To proceed, we now want to look at the order of the day. That is the keynote presentation, the guest speaking session, post-fuel subsidy regime, exploring other options for a sustainable public urban transportation system in Nigeria. Jelani Aliu, please, we have your attention.
Yes, good afternoon, everybody. It's a great honor and a pleasure to be with you all today, albeit remotely. This is indeed very exciting times for Nigeria. The Nigerian Transport Commissioners Forum is definitely a very, very crucial entity whose value addition as the country moves forward is going to be immeasurable. We all know how important transportation is to humanity. from the earliest of times of horses and other animals being used for transportation, going on to carts, then the very first, steam-powered trains, diesel-powered trains, electric trains, and then cars, and the very first Mercedes in the over 100 years ago, and then all the development that came along to the cars that we drive today, and then also moving on to the more sophisticated forms of transportation, even moving on to vehicles that are projected to drive themselves, driverless vehicles, autonomous. So the transportation realm is really incredible. And it is something that humanity cannot do without. We have to move from A to B. We have to move goods from A to B. So even no matter how digitized we become, no matter how strong the internet becomes, there will have to be the movement of physical goods and services. So the responsibilities of our Nigerian transport commissioners is something that cannot be measured. And I'm very honored to have this opportunity to be with you today to discuss what the next opportunities are in transportation for our great nation. And with the advent of the removal of subsidy, which has made transportation more expensive, desperate measures that are also intelligent and strategic must be enabled. Our agency, the National Automotive Design and Development Council, is one of the agencies under the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment. And our core responsibility is to help develop the local automotive sector. That is to promote local production. So we are all for producing vehicles in Nigeria, and we discourage bringing in fully built vehicles, because we know that each time you buy a vehicle built in Nigeria, you're creating jobs and opportunities and a better future for all of us. And each time you spend money to bring in a fully built vehicle from overseas, you're destroying our economy and building other economies. So this presentation that I'm about to go through, if we can go back to the very first slide, please. The very first slide, there's another one before this. Yes. So like I said, we're under the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, and we're implementing what is called the National Automotive Industry Development Plan to promote the local automotive sector. And I'd love to give you just a quick overview of who we are, what we do, and then do a deep dive into what those solutions need to be for Nigeria. So this slide here, you can see it. We have an investment. We have managed to bring in investment of over $1 billion US. So in today's terms, that's over 800 billion naira has been invested by credible Nigerian and international companies to set up companies and factories in Nigeria. Companies such as Honda West Africa, Innoson out of Nnewi, Dangote in Lagos and Kaduna, Lanre Shutu, Elizade, Meccano, and many other companies are, as we speak, actively producing vehicles in Nigeria. These companies have a combined production capacity of over 400,000 vehicles per annum. Now, they're not producing that number yet, but we're working very closely with them and with other government agencies to enable these companies to produce even more than 400,000 vehicles per year. We've also enabled, we've trained in Nigeria over 30,000 Nigerian youth in automotive-related fields to make them self-reliant, for them to be able to add value to themselves and to their communities. We have also gone ahead and developed 21 automotive training centers. Our objective is to have a training center in each and every state of the Federation. So we already have 21 automotive training centers, and would love to really connect with you from those states and see how we can cooperate in using those training centers that we have set up in your state states to add value to your youth in that particular location. We've also enabled, like I said, the production of CNG-powered vehicles in Nigeria. Innoson and Omar, both out of Inewi, are producing CNG-powered vehicles. We've also gone ahead and enabled the production of electric-powered vehicles in Nigeria. Hyundai Nigeria and Jet Motors are both producing electric vehicles in the country. So a lot is already happening in Nigeria in terms of the automotive sector. We have also we're also developing 3 automotive testing facilities in Lagos, Zaria, and Enugu. Once these are up and running, God willing, any component or vehicle in Nigeria will not be allowed to be sold or used unless we give it the stamp of approval, similar to what NAFDAC does for food. We've also developed 3 100% solar-powered electric vehicle charging stations, not just to prove that the concept works in Nigeria, but to show that you can power in Nigeria electric vehicles without having to depend on a NEPA. So the next slide, please. I don't see the presentation up here. Is it still on? Is the presentation still on?
The host, please, can we have the presentation up?
If you can't, let me see if I can share it from here. Screen sharing? Is it me sharing or the? Okay, let me go back to it then. Okay, yes. So this is the written form of what I have just gone over. We can go to the next slide. We can go to the next slide. Yes. So why do we think electric vehicles are a solution? No, wait, let's go back to the other one. Other slide, please. May we go back to the other slide? So why electric vehicles? As we know, in 2015, Nigeria was one of the 196 countries that signed what's called the Paris Accord. This is an agreement by all those countries to see that they do all that they can to reduce the amount of harmful gases emitted by both transportation and industry. You know, carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, methane, and all those harmful pollutants that are adding to global warming. So what would these individual countries do to reduce those emissions or even completely eliminate them? And then again, Nigeria committed to net zero at COP26 in Glasgow by 2060. We strongly believe that the fastest and most effective way to reach those targets would be to go zero emission electric vehicles. And that is why about 3 years ago, NADDC really upped the ante in promoting electric vehicles. And what I'm about to show would sort of manifest some of those achievements that we've gotten to in the last 3 years towards electric vehicles. Next slide, please. Yeah, so what are those specific things that we have done? We have, like I mentioned earlier, supported industry to begin to produce electric vehicles in Nigeria. And that has led to the local assembly of the Hyundai Kona EV with a range of over 482 kilometers. That's the lime green vehicle you see on the screen. And also to the production of the Jet Motors e-bus. Also, another 100% electric vehicle that can carry up to 14 people. And this Jet Motors has at least 40% local content from Nigeria. So this really shows a commitment of local companies in Nigeria that are already producing electric vehicles as we speak. We also have a policy that's called the NAIDP 2023, National Automotive Industry Development Plan, which has a set of very strategic and very effective fiscal and non-fiscal incentives to promote the overall production of vehicles in Nigeria. And in there are specific support for the importation of both fully built electric vehicles and the importation of the components to produce EVs in Nigeria. And then we went ahead further and we developed what is called the Electric Vehicle Development Plan. This is specific to electric vehicles with a whole host of incentives and programs, projects and initiatives to support the production of electric vehicles in Nigeria. So we have ratified it together with a number of very key stakeholders. And we're at the stage now where all we need is a final approval from senior leadership to begin the implementation of the Electric Vehicle Development Plan. Because what we want is to have Nigeria become, the ultimate electric vehicle development and usage nation in Africa. Like I said, we've also developed 3 electric vehicle, solar-powered electric vehicle charging stations to prove that even with the problems of NEPA and power, you can use solar energy to power electric vehicles. So we built these stations in locations that would allow young Nigerians to learn that technology and even come up with better solutions. So we put we have one at University of Lagos. We have a second one at University of Nigeria in Nsukka, and we have a third one at Usman Danfodio University, Sokoto. So like I said, we took this advanced technology right to the footsteps of young Nigerians, and we said to them, hey, this is what's happening around the world. We've brought it right to your doorstep. What would you do with this? How would you understand this and even come up with even better solutions for Nigeria and Africa? And we're very happy that all 3 universities have really grabbed this initiative with both hands. And the next stage for us is to engage them on a competition. We are going to sponsor them to design their own versions of electric vehicles and fabricate it right there at the universities, and then see how they compete. We're also working specifically with University of Nigeria in Nsukka to develop an electric-powered tractor so that, a farmer out there in the middle of nowhere in Nigeria will never have to depend on fuel being trucked or brought to his village. He just uses the sun, powers his tractor, and adds value to his farm. So these are some of the things that we've already started to do. We're also, just last week, we inspected the potential site of a new manufacturer who is also about to start electric vehicle production. So the game is on, the momentum is gathering, and Nigeria, we hope, God willing, will be an incredible player when it comes to the production and usage of EVs. Next slide, please. Can we move to the next slide? Okay, this is an extract from the NAIDP 2023 that shows some of those specific incentives when you're bringing in electric vehicles. So when you're talking about bringing in vehicles and then assembling them and producing them, that would go towards mass transportation in most of your states, these are advantages that would make those vehicles a whole lot cheaper and more cost effective. And then when you compare what we call the total cost of ownership of a vehicle. That is the amount of money that you spend over the lifetime of that vehicle. You take these three types of vehicles. You take diesel, you take gas, and then you take electric vehicles. If a gas vehicle, a CNG-powered vehicle, will cost about a third of what a diesel costs to run per kilometer. An electric vehicle will cost just about a fifth of that to run the same distance. And then when you're talking about an electric vehicle, you know there's no crankshaft, no engine oil, no plugs. So all those things that can go wrong, that you have to spend time at the mechanic trying to fix or replacing, they just simply do not exist in an electric vehicle. So as a commercial operator, your vehicles are out there generating more profit for you per day because there's no downtime with those vehicles being serviced or being repaired. And then you save all that money that you can either plow back into your business or becomes additional IGR. Next slide, please. Yeah, so this is the Hyundai Kona assembled in Lagos in the old Volkswagen of Nigeria factory by Hyundai Nigeria, a division of Stallion Motors, Stallion Group Nigeria. Very effective vehicle. We drove this vehicle all over the country. This is it on a road trip, showing that these vehicles can manage Nigeria, can manage the harsh and extreme conditions in Nigeria, extreme heat, extreme dust, rough roads. You bring them on, electric vehicles are designed and engineered to be able to handle them even better than other types of vehicles. This particular vehicle would go about 482 kilometers before you need a charge. And the way the technology is moving on, there are already vehicles out there that can do 1,000 kilometers on a single charge. So pretty soon, we'll be having vehicles that could do 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 kilometers on a single charge. And we all know there isn't one single petrol or diesel vehicle that can go that distance. Next slide, please. Yes, so this is the other vehicle by Jet Motors, also an indigenous Nigerian company out of Lagos. This is a 14-seater, 100% electric vehicle. 100% electric vehicle, also showing what can be and what is being done in Nigeria. This would be a perfect vehicle for intracity or intercity transportation, very clean, very cost effective. The return on investment on this type of vehicle, because it is electric, is much higher than what it would be for petrol or diesel. All the advantages that I explained earlier would apply to this type of vehicle. So this is what is happening, and we hope that more and more decision makers at a federal level and at state level really acknowledge the advantage of green mobility. And NADDC is always willing to sit down and speak with you individually, understand the opportunities in your individual states, and come up with the right solution of energy efficient vehicles for your particular challenges and opportunities. Next slide. Yeah, so the black bus, that's from the same company that we had just seen the white one from, Jet Motors. This particular, these particular units, the black ones, are currently being used by GIG Logistics. So this vehicle is being test run in real world conditions, showing that yes, they can handle the tough commercial space, and they're adding value day in, day out. The green and white vehicle, that's a very interesting project by a young group of Nigerians, originally out of Maiduguri, but they set up a company here in Abuja, Phoenix Renewables, Phoenix Automobiles. We're working very closely with them. We're very excited about what they're doing. We are working closely with them. What we have is a new R&D facility in Zaria, where we hope to work even closer with them to develop their vehicles to meet world standards. This is a type of initiative that we really love to see. Young Nigerians coming together, forming entities and groups that understand the problems on the ground and come up with the necessary solutions. So this vehicle is, they converted a petrol vehicle to run on electric. and they're moving on, developing even more vehicles from the ground up. The yellow motorcycle, that is Max E out of Lagos, two-wheeler, of course, because the entry point for two-wheelers is much lower. So a whole lot more people, a higher percentage of the population can have access to electric vehicles with motorcycles. This one has a unique swappable battery. When the battery on the motorcycle runs down, you just take it out and immediately within minutes put in a fresh battery while the old one is charged at charging kiosk. So this is another opportunity here too that can really add value to a tremendous high number of Nigerians. Next slide. Yes, so this is the fourth. We've built three 100% solar-powered electric vehicle charging stations across the country at universities, and we have built a fourth one here in Abuja at our headquarters. This one here is hybrid. It runs both on solar and the grid. And we also have a fast charger here that can charge any one of those e-buses in about an hour or so. This is a type of solution that we hope needs to be replicated across the country to be able to charge these vehicles, both commercial and private, and providing that service that would keep these electric vehicles running. Next slide. CNG. This is OMA, the OMA bus I mentioned out of Nnewi, both the 17, 18-seater and also the big bus. You can see the chief executive of OMA, Mr. Chinedu. I understand he's part of the discussions today. He was demonstrating their product to us. This is a CNG powered vehicle that is very efficient. Like I mentioned earlier, CNG would be about a third of the cost of petrol and diesel. As we speak, we have a couple of these vehicles here being used for staff transportation, bringing them to work and back home. And they have proven very, very efficient, very successful, and much, much cheaper, much more cost effective than either petrol or diesel. And as we know, CNG also burns a whole lot cleaner than petrol or diesel. So CNG is an absolute very strong transition fuel. Before we all go 100% electric, we can immediately jump on CNG and add value by getting more cost-effective transportation and cleaning up the environment. Next slide. Can we go to the next slide? Yes, this is Innoson, also out of Nnewi. These are full-size buses that are also CNG. Innoson, as we know, is a major player in the automotive space in Nigeria. And these are buses that are also CNG powered that also offer those types of advantages of being cost effective. So what we hope to do is really promote more and more of these types of products in Nigeria. These two companies, OMA and Innoson, show what happens when you're committed to make a difference. When you understand the challenges being faced by any particular locality or nation and come up with the right products. We are very proud of both companies. Both companies are indigenous, wholly Nigerian. NADDC has the belief and commitment that whatever has been done overseas can be replicated in the nation. We are blessed with many, many young Nigerians who, when exposed to the right technologies and solutions, can really come in and add significant value to society. So this, like I mentioned, showcases a lot of the great things already happening in Nigeria in support of the energy transition. And the beautiful thing about it is NADDC and our stakeholders did not start this yesterday or this year or last year. We started this after we understood where the world was headed, after we understood the commitment of nations to clean up the environment towards cleaner, safer, more environmentally friendly transportation solutions. And with this latest commitment by the current administration to promote CNG and electric vehicles, we are very ready. We are very ready to support this initiative 100%, and we are very ready to work very closely with each and every state government to ensure that the right mix of cost-effective and energy-efficient vehicles are deployed in all your states. Next slide, please. Yes, we can move to the next one. I think the slides with the pictures addressed all this. Yes, we can move on. We can move on. So NADDC is also, we have designed a specific CNG powered vehicle that we're currently developing. This is a vehicle that we believe would add significant value, not just in Nigeria, but in the whole of Africa. I will not be able to show you the whole vehicle because of confidentiality reasons, but pretty soon we hope to be finished with this vehicle. We're building a fully functional prototype, which we hope to unveil very soon to leadership and to the Nigerian public. What we are going to do, since we're a government, we're not in the business of doing business, we will come up with this solution, with this design, with this blueprint, and then we will license it out to the private sector to mass produce. We hope that this vehicle will also add significant value and make a difference to the lives of Nigerians, not just living in urban areas, but in many parts, in many remote parts of the nation. Next slide. So we had opportunity to meet with the National Economic Council to propose, EVs and CNG. This was about 2 months ago, and it was very widely received by both the chairman, who is the vice president, and all the state governors that were there. And I think that provided impetus into a lot of the momentum that we now see in commitment into electric vehicles and CNG-powered vehicles. So we hope that some of those recommendations, as captured in both the 2023 NAIDP and in the Electric Vehicle Development Plan, which would give additional really value-added incentives to both the demand and supply side of electric vehicles and CNG, would go a long way in redefining the transportation landscape in Nigeria. Next slide, please. We'll probably the next one. Yes, so I'm very happy and very excited to have had this opportunity to speak to you today, to talk to you about what NADD has been doing, to talk to you about what some of our stakeholders have been doing towards supporting this government initiative beyond subsidy, beyond petrol, beyond diesel. What we have is an incredible nation. And I believe that time has come when we cannot dismiss advanced technology. We all know the days before cell phones. Like, very few people had landlines, only either the super rich or ministries. And even if you had landlines, sometimes they just didn't work. Along came cell phones, and everybody is connected. Every corner, every village, every hamlet is connected. Technology, it brought something more advanced and even cheaper. So we hope that electric vehicles provide a similar solution, whereby, as we speak, one out of every 1,000 people in Nigeria, less than 60 are motorized. Very few people have mobility. We hope that electric vehicles and e-mobility will come in and provide more mobility opportunities for Nigerians to enhance our lives, our communities, our social and economic activities. We must not be defined by our problems, because that is just what they are, problems. They are not us. We are bigger than them. We can only be defined by our dreams and aspirations, by what we can achieve by a better tomorrow. I strongly believe, God willing, that what other nations have done, we can replicate the same success and advancements in Nigeria. So once again, thank you very much, and I very much look forward to working with each and every one of you towards creating a better country for all of us. Thank you.
We must not be defined by our problems. Thank you very much, Director General, for that very, very insightful presentation. We really did benefit a lot from that. And from what we have seen, the importance of your council in these critical times of our beloved sector cannot be overemphasized. The Nigerian Transportation Commissioners Forum especially appreciates you for squeezing out your time to fit into this webinar. We have learned so much from that. And as we have seen your commitment to the promotion of renewable energy powered vehicles, it's a very commendable one and vital for sustainable urban transportation development in Nigeria. It's a much needed shift in the sector, and we are also confident that key players are itching to collaborate with your council to bring about these innovations to fruition. Thank you so much, Director General, once again. We want to proceed to the discussion conversation with our participants. And to lead that conversation is the Director of Road Transport and Mass Transit Administration, Federal Ministry of Transportation, Mr. Musa Ibrahim. Sir, please, you have 3 minutes. Every participant has 3 minutes, and then we will go on to take on the question and answer session, after which the participants will come back to make their final submissions for 2 minutes. The Director, please, you have the attention. The Director, sir, are you still with us? Let's proceed, please. Professor Ishaku Abner.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Basil, how are you? Can you hear me?
Fine, thank you, sir. Yes, I can hear you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I think we need to give kudos to the DG NADDC for this wonderful presentation. I wish there was time for him. Probably there won't need for any of the discussants to talk about anything, because the paper he presented is actually all-encompassing. Permit me to appreciate the organizers of this program and all participants who have created time to join. Thank you so much, and I hope it will not just end in Zoom meetings and then we now write a report and the report is just jettisoned. No, I think we should take it up to the next level. We've been talking so much, especially here in Nigeria. Action should be more than just talking and calling for conferences, seminars, webinars, and exhibitions. We've been on this road for some years now. The DG NADDC can also testify. We've had series of engagements, meetings, and inspections of all those pictures he presented in his paper. I've also on the this discussion today platform, I can see a lot of operators. THLD is here. Mr. Funsho Alao is also here. I've seen Omar Motors, and a few others who probably might not have noticed your presence. Thank you so much for the untiring work we've been doing today. We saw this coming 4 or 5 years ago. We've been sermonizing with the National Gas Expansion Program, Dr. M.M. Ibrahim, who is the chairman of that committee. We've been working tirelessly even during the COVID, excuse me, and there was no relenting, there was no night, there was no day in sermonizing. We've had various engagements with the states, with the local government, ALGON, and virtually all the stakeholders you can ever think of in this country, including the labor unions. And we kept prophesying that, look, the day is coming where subsidy will definitely be removed. And once it is removed, what other alternatives do we have? And we've been offering that gas as a solution. In fact, the whole world has accepted that gas should be used as a transition fuel. So if you are going to transit from one level to another by removing subsidies, gas should have been effectively utilized. Unfortunately, you can date back to right from the 1958 and the late 50s, where crude oil was discovered. And since then, we've been flaring gas in this country. It's so sad and unfortunate that over 60 years, gas that others are looking for, we're still flaring gas. The details are there. Time will fail us to start making presentations of how much we would have gained or how much would have utilized this flared gas in this country. Well, the IOCs are not bothered. They can be paying the penalties. But this is gas that we need. The whole world is looking for gas. Remember the Ukraine-Russia war? When Russia started turning off the supply of gas to European countries, they were running helter-skelter. I remember vividly. They came to our office, all the European Union ambassadors came and they said, look, we need gas today, whatever it will take, we will provide. And you say, we'll take advantage of that. We have it. This country is a nation that has, that is blessed with gas. There is virtually no part of this country that we don't have the gas as a resource. The crude oil is just a drop-off that we have in the country. It's just like you have like 5–10% of what we have compared to what gas is to this country. So I think we can utilize gas effectively, not only for transportation, for power, and for other things. Virtually, if you check your material, this clothes and all the materials and everything around us that you are seeing are all byproduct of gas, including the pharmaceuticals, okay? So if we effectively utilize gas in this country, it's going to revolutionize this country. And I believe that time has come that government will have to pay attention to gas, especially, not only for transportation, because I just noticed.
I appreciate your very, very insightful contribution, sir.
Thank you so much.
Limited time.
You see what I told you?
For just 2 minutes. Yes,
right.
Yes, we understand that with you.
Thank you.
But however, we are looking at it's a pre-event conversation.
That's
and
okay.
When the National Transportation Technology Exhibition comes up proper, we'll have all these matters dissected accordingly.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Okay.
We appreciate your contribution.
Okay,
all right,
thank you.
The Director, Road Transport and Mass Transit Administration, is now here with us. He was scheduled to lead the conversation. Please, sir, you can go ahead and please kindly give us the pleasure of having just 2 minutes, sir. Thank you. Director Ibrahim, sir. As he prepares to come up, we can go on to take up the discussions from Managing Director Omar Mutos.
Hello, Basil in the phone.
Yes, please.
I don't know if you can hear me clearer now.
Yes, I can hear you clear now, sir. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you very much. I'm very, very sorry
Thank
for those technical hitches that blurred the communication and we could not get it on well. So, having presented, I want to assume presented the Permanent Secretary's opening remark, which I shared with the Transport Commissioners Forum, the Secretariat of the Transport Commissioners Forum, and I stated it there that she could share it. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the post-fuel subsidy regime, exploring other options for a sustainable public urban transport system. We all know that fuel subsidy has been a great problem to the Nigerian economy. It's more of a cost than a blessing to say that you have fuel and you're paying a lot on the subsidy. All the presidential aspirants, apart from our president, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, promised to remove the subsidy if they are voted into power. So when the president did it, it's not surprising to us. And all we need to do is take advantage of that removal and get the best out of it. I want to tell us that with the removal of fuel subsidy, money that is needed in other areas, just like he stated in the Permanent Secretary statement, could be realized and used for the development of those areas. Then it reduces the benefits, short-term benefits. It reduces government borrowing and associated huge deficit, debt deficit, which you have been encountering. Now, with the removal of subsidy, you can see that those deficits will reduce. Smuggling, it serves as disincentive to those who have been smuggling our fuel products, because without incentive, the price is almost at par with the neighboring countries. Well, stronger Naira and decline in imported inflation, that with some trade malpractices and other evil things going on around the economy, we cannot realize it immediately, but the CBN is working around the clock to see that the Naira is strengthened. And just like it was pointed out, foreign currency coming in from the diaspora, not coming in through official sources, cannot be controlled. That is why, even though the benefits are there. And the product of the petroleum product is readily available now with the withdrawal of the subsidy. Now, post-subsidy regime, the road to sustainable transport. Sustainable transport, sustainable development goal 11.2 seeks to by 2030 provide access to safe, affordable, accessible, and sustainable transport systems for all, improving road transport. Transport is a crucial driver of economic and social development. Transport infrastructure connects people to jobs, education, healthcare, and each other. Is therefore a great catalyst for the economy. Heavy dependence on road transport in the country is the cause of congestion and traffic holdups that lead to loss of productive man hours. Post-subsidy regime, the road to sustainable transport. Total paradigm shift. Nigerians must first accept the dangers and inefficiency of the present transportation system before any progress can be made. The principle of transportation prioritization is such that trips with higher values have lower cost, while trips with lower values have higher cost. By this, people are discouraged from embarking on unnecessary trips. Smart transportation choices. Nigerians should embrace above inefficient choices. Walking, cycling, and sailing as better choices than driving, especially for short distances. As these choices are better for the health, they are also more sustainable transport means. I do hope I'm still on, because
you're still on, sir, but very limited with time. Very limited. In fact, you've exceeded your allotted time long ago.
Thank you very much. So I'll make it faster. So, developing affordable means of transportation. Government should give more attention to develop accessible and sustainable means of public transport, such as trains, which transport a larger number of commuters. And again, the use of things like bicycle, we must not see it as a symbol of poverty if people are using bicycle. The health advantages of utilization of bicycle as a means of transportation cannot be overemphasized. But we are so used to fuel surplus that we drive very little distance that we're supposed to tread, exercise, or ride bicycle. With this, I hope those advantages will come back and we'll reap the health advantages of fuel subsidy. Thank you very much. Since I've been cautioned about time, I have to stop. Thank you.
We appreciate that, sir. We appreciate you highlighting the advantages of fuel subsidy removal, and we do agree with you on most of those points you have made. Once again, thank you. Now I want to call on the Managing Director of OMA Motors to please take on his discussion. Sir, please, you have 2 minutes, please.
Okay, good day, everyone. Chinedu Ogwebu is my name.
There's nothing I didn't do.
I'm the MD of OMA. First, I must thank the organizers for this wonderful event. Distinguished guests, other industry leaders on this call. I really appreciate it.
You knew how badly I wanted it.
I will also, hello. I think there's. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. I have muted the interruption. Sorry for that.
Okay, great. So what I was saying too is I must also congratulate the DG of NEDC, Janlani Aliyu. Thank you very much for your very nice presentation. And from that slide as well, you'd have seen what we've been doing. OMA, we're a local vehicle assembler in Nigeria, and we pioneered, natural gas vehicles assembly locally. And this was, several years, pre-subsidy removal. And the reason we saw this, or the reason we did this, was we realized that, just like Professor Abner was talking about, Nigeria is so much endowed with natural gas. We have 900 times more gas than the fuel that we all, focus on. Nigeria is number 1 in terms of gas reserves in Africa, number 10 in the world. So you can imagine the size and, the abundance of this fuel that we have, that we can use to develop, accelerate our economy, create jobs. So that's why we started OMA, because we saw that, rather than depend on the global OEMs, for example, they had moved on to other things. We thought that as a local company, we could, modify our vehicles, we could design our vehicles, to use the fuel source that we had. And that's why we've been on this. Now, also looking at it in the context of, how far we've gone, I think that just to set the perspective as well, the world now is moving on to zero emissions, battery electric, fuel cell electric. So I'm talking about green hydrogen and all in the future. But Nigeria, Africa, or most of Africa, has natural gas that is relevant, that we can use as a transition fuel. So it's very important for all the stakeholders. It's very important for the policymakers, for the road transport administrators, for the operators themselves, and even we, the users. It's very important that we all aggregate, or we all rally around this, push for natural gas vehicles and, eventual transition to electric vehicles, because just like coal, right? If we don't make the right moves now, we're going to miss yet another opportunity. NGEP for the last few years was clamoring for this transition. Let us grab this, and run with it. We have very limited time because we're all, as a country, Nigeria is committed to zero emissions in a very few, by 2060, not a long time away. We're already, looking at net zero. So that means that we have to continuously reduce emissions. This is a massive opportunity. And then, lastly is, I'll really love us to, if we have time, to look at the last slide from DG's presentation. We shouldn't look at, the fuel subsidy removal as a problem, right? This is an opportunity for us to develop solutions that solves not just the economic impact of the fuel subsidy removal.
We thank you
Something
very,
that
very,
we
very
can
much,
build
sir.
on.
We
Thank you
appreciate
very
your
much.
point. In fact, when you said if we don't make the right moves now, we will miss out on another opportunity, that captured it all. Thank you so much for your time. We now want to move on to the next presentation, that is calling on the President of the National President of Chartered Institute of Transport Administration, Prince Segun Obasanjo. Please, sir, you have 2 minutes for your conversation.
Thank you very much, the organizer, once again, and let me appreciate the special guest. I call him my Oga Jelani, for that wonderful presentation. And my discussant will basically be hinged on his presentation. And I want to be pragmatic in doing this. I see a lot of collaboration that NADDC, NITT, and the CIOTA, the three bodies can do together from the presentation. For example, I do know that in the presentation, he mentioned 21 states where they have centers, and is imploring all the states to take good use of it. I was going to say CIOTA will be ready to partner with NADDC in making advocacy if those centers can also be used for conversion center, where some of these vehicles will go and be converted. We don't have enough of those centers at the moment. That's one of the problems thrown up by the removal of subsidy. I believe we can make use of that to the advantage of the larger society. And talking to what NITT is doing in conjunction with private sector, I want us to take it deeper in terms of a pragmatic approach. What do I mean? Nobody is in doubt right now that the way to go is gas, be it CNG, LPG, and what have you. And of course, the electric model or the alternative. Nobody is in doubt. This is what I call, in my usual palace, reality.com has set on each and every one of us. So what remains is for us to take maximum advantage of it and see how we can also deploy as rapidly as we can. I know NADDC do also enjoy some form of funding, and they have the capacity to access fund. So how can they also help individual states to get their vehicles converted in such a way that they'll be given a means of payment that is flexible? If we can roll out some of this package to assist the government, that will go a long way in making everybody to quickly adjust and begin to navigate via the option of CNG or electric gas. But once again, I do sincerely commend that presentation, and it has broadened my horizon on how to look at the greater good of what has happened for to us as a country, and for us to begin to create wealth and to also create job opportunities therein. Because by the time we have so many conversion centers across the country, you can imagine how many employment will be created. And by the time we have us moving from consumption of PMS, you can see how demand and supply will be able to affect the price of the so-called PMS, and then thus making it more competitive. But because it has been some kind of the only most used, most tapped energy for mobility, that's why the pressure and the danger it poses to the whole country is this massive. But I believe with all this alternative, we'll be able to reduce this pressure. So I want to thank the organizer for allowing us to be part of this, and be rest assured your main expo coming up, we will be part of it, and then to make our contribution and impact. And I encourage everybody on the platform to see how they can also key in. I want to thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm grateful. Thank you.
And thank you too, sir. We did say at the end of that presentation that there are key stakeholders who are itching to partner with NADDC, and that is CIOTA right there, coming out to clamor for such partnership. We look forward to that partnership for better transportation sector. Next for the discussion is Engineer Sadiq Abubakar, the Chief Executive Officer of Phoenix Renewables. As a reminder, please, sir, you have 2 minutes. Engineer Abubakar, please kindly unmute.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. This is Engineer Sadiq Abubakar from Phoenix Renewables Limited, a major player in the EV sector. Hello, are you there?
We can hear you, sir. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, thank you for having us as part of this webinar. And as the MD of NADDC mentioned, we've been trying our best to contribute our own quota to making sure that the electric vehicle is a reality in Nigeria. We started with the conversion of petrol-powered buses to fully EV. We started in Maiduguri and we deployed 10 buses, and that was what we started with. And it has been working successfully. It has reduced the cost of transportation in Maiduguri, and we're trying to upscale and cover the whole country, because as the director of mass transit mentioned, this is the opportunity. This removal of subsidy poses a great opportunity for us to really make a difference in this sector, because wherever there is problem, the solution is where you make an impact. So, and Nigeria currently faces a lot of issues, especially in the mass transport sector. So my company, we are working very hard to make sure that we provide solutions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, and thank you for keeping it brief as well. It brings us to the next, Professor Samuel Odeumi, a seasoned transportant, to discuss next. Sir, please, 2 minutes. Prof, please unmute.
Okay, thank you. I really appreciate all that has been done and said. I would want to say that most of our takings are quite in order, but they are in the medium to long term, because where we are now, subsidies are to go. There are perturbations immediately after, and we are within the turbulence of the removal. So, and palliatives being thrown at it by the government, federal, state, has some deficiencies because they are mostly misdirected. Because why do we have problems? Transportation costs went up. So rather than address that immediately, we now started buying rice as if rice was not in the market before, doing all sorts of things. They mean very well. They mean quite well, but it is not addressing the immediate problem that was caused by the removal of subsidy. So the palliative approach is reading with political influences and typical Nigerian corruption. So I want to mention just about 4, 5, 6 solutions that, because commissioners are on the platform here, that should be our immediate focus. Then we go into a wonderful concept of Jelani Aliyu, NITT, and so on and so forth. So first, we need to really address the issue of security for the farmers, because that's very important. President Tinubu promised that he is going to make them all the monies that are going secure the farmers, and you will see the result in fruit production. And secure the pipelines, you will see the result in strengthening of the naira, because fuel, we will produce more fuel. Now, roll out the CNG infrastructure as quickly as you can. Let us use that money and say we are giving ourselves 3 months flat to get the infrastructure layout, especially in conjunction with the existing petrol stations. How many of them can roll out 3 dispense gas, dispense fuel, dispense able to charge your vehicles? That is very important. So the infrastructure, so that we attend to the supply side. We don't need to plead with people to convert to CNG if it is available. So then too, we have to work on rapid conversion, and we may even make our palliative go into rapid conversion of vehicles. Maybe all our institutions, let them go into. Then why is bicycle not even part of the palliative in the rural areas? It will help their mobility tremendously. So then, of course, we have to do mass transit. That has to be done. I mean, those are the immediate things that we need to get going for the. Then I mentioned the conversion of the existing one and the production of the new ones. So for me, these are important things that are very urgent that we need to do. The infrastructure acquisition and training with NITT that is already on board, NADDC. So there must be that attention to the most critical need in order to help us out of the present perturbations that we have. So I think these are my basic take, that the medium terms are okay, but the short term we must attend to. We get people moving at a cheaper cost and address the issue of bringing. Then, of course, please remove VAT duties and levies from importation of the diesel, of the petrol, of the vehicles from Okada to Korokwe to high capacity buses. Let those ones come in. Those are the immediate things that government need to do to remove, to make the vehicles available, because we must not put our eyes up the ball. That is, the problem we are facing is the problem of transportation costs that has gone up as a result of fuel subsidy removal. It's not that people are not able to get their rice and all that. So I think this is important, and I wish all the government people on the platform to take this home, that they must address their palliatives. I mean, they must take their palliative to address the critical issues, at least in the short run of the next 3 months.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. We agree with you that it is important that we look at the short-term solutions to the current problems. We appreciate that.
And we must wake up the rail. Just a little oversight there. We must wake up our rail to move our freight and people, increase the trips in where they exist. Thank you very much.
That is a very key point as well. Thank you, sir. The Managing Director, Edo State Transport Authority, Mrs. Agbonlaho, please. It is your turn. 2 minutes.
Good afternoon, and thank you so much for the opportunity to be part of this very important discussion. I want to look at it from the point of view that it's, at this critical time, it's very, very important that we encourage public transportation, and in our major cities, high capacity buses. I want to thank the DG of NADDC for his presentation, very educative and informative. I want to request that the high capacity buses that are either CNG or electricity powered should also be included in that concessionary import.
especially the high capacity buses that have more 44-seater buses above, seating capacity and above. Because right now, even though the CNG buses by operational cost is lower than that of the diesel, but the initial cost of purchase is very high. And so we have to look for how to reduce it so that it becomes accessible to not just the state government operators, but the private operators that will be interested in buying high capacity buses for both the intracity movement and the interstate movement. I also believe that at this time, government should also be looking at bringing up infrastructure funding that are tailored towards transport operations. Right now, the financing model does not fit the funding available in the banks. This is supposed to be a long-term project of at least 6 years repayment period. But we have most banks offering only 3 years, 4 years, putting a lot of pressure on the liquidity capacity of the operating companies. So we need a funding from the federal government or the industrial banks that will finance these banks single-digit interest rates and a longer tenure of repayment that enables these bus operations to be more sustainable and at the same time giving affordable services to our people. Also, we are also looking at what regulations, what legal and infrastructural framework do we now have to put in place for active travel in non-motorized transport system, cycling and walking. Right now, most of our states don't have those infrastructure. We don't have the regulations or the legal framework for such transportation. We need to start encouraging it. And I think these are the areas where there should be deliberate interventions to ensure that mobility becomes seamless for the people. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ma. That is why the Nigeria Transportation Commissioners Forum has always come out to advise states to work on getting their state legal framework policies for transportation. Yeah, quite appreciate those comments, ma'am. Next on the discussion panel is Dr. Alban Igwe. Please, sir, 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to make some few remarks. Let me join my previous speakers to express thanks to first the Transport Commissioners Forum for organizing this conversation, and secondly for the guest speaker for today. That was a very brilliant presentation. Let me quickly make some remarks that I think need to be incorporated going forward. One is that we're trying to solve transport problem, but we know that transport problem does not stand alone. So I see the presentation as having a leaning towards motorized transport. And I'm thinking that we can, as usual, we use transport to solve other problems. So for instance, Nigeria is on a tipping point in food security simply because of supply chain challenges. I'm wondering whether the scope of assignment of NADDC does not include freight vehicles. And Professor Dewume has also spoken about rail. Does automotive power, does their scope of work not get to rail such that they can empower mass movement rather than focusing only on motorized transport? Because then there will be a problem of over-motorization very soon, because we solve the energy problem, but then we create a problem of over-motorization, particularly when the advantages become obvious. So I think there's a need for motorized transport vehicles and there's rail synergy to preempt over-motorization. There's a need to also focus a lot more on freight vehicles so that we can reduce food insecurity. And I think that we don't need to wait until a time like this to know what the NADDC are doing. I think there's a need to communicate. That communication will help those who want to invest to be aware of what is going on. And of course, I think that there should be a program, daily vehicles in the system, that would don't know what will become of them. Will be willing to bring in his old vehicle in exchange for the new one that we are promoting. Otherwise, we will not fully get rid of those vehicles. There's need to have statistics. Let us know how much of these vehicles are we expecting next year, how produced, because if we don't know, we keep on being in the dark. And finally, I want to say that the Nigerian Transport Commissioners Forum should give us an agenda of what they want to achieve with all this conversation, because as brilliant as they are, we might end up having an interesting conversation. Let us see a roadmap and timeline of what the Nigerian Transport Commissioners want to achieve so that we can follow better. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. We appreciate that. And your request has been noted by the Nigeria Transportation Commissioners Forum as well. We want to remind all participants that please you can send in your questions. The Director General NADDC is still here to respond to them after the final sections of participants have spoken. And additionally, all participants who have participated in this discussion will have 1 minute to round up after the question and answer session has been taken. We move on to the next, that is Mr. Olofonsho Amor, who will speak with us for 2 minutes.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for the opportunity to be here and stand up all the existing protocols. I once responded to Madam Chiwe when I saw the caliber of people that will be speaking. I said, people like us don't need to speak again. And this is true. Notwithstanding, I thank you for the opportunity of being here. I would like to sincerely thank the DG of NADC. Everybody have said that, so I don't need to go too much for that. The presentation material is very, very rich. Just like Prof said earlier, my thinking is that we should be focused on short, medium, and long-term plan, because what it looked like we are putting so many things together at the same time. The problem now is that we lost that opportunity with the NGEP activity in the last couple of years, where we had to prepare Nigeria already. It didn't happen. Subsidy removed, people are crying. What do we need to do? We have people that are assembling vehicles that use bus and electric. We have people that are converting. All what we then need to do is to come up with plan to roll them out as fast as possible. What has been the limiting factor is finance. Unfortunately, we are all waiting for government. I'm sorry to say, a lot of people know what I want to say. The gas intervention fund, and all those things have not been helpful, and that's what delays so many people from implementing what they should have done. We now have to start thinking of maybe a local way. I have Dr. Obani here. We run a seminar, we run a project in Abia State and came up with a local solution. So we need to be looking at local solutions that will enable people fund conversion kits for tricycle and all those stuff. Because you talk to bank, you will say it's too risky. I talk to some of the government, so it's too risky. So we must come up with a plan. And those of us who are operators, I will happy that we come together and we start publicizing or advocating all the rollouts that are going on so that people will get to know and know what is happening. For example, the federal government has rolled out this aggressive CNG plan. From their point of view, what they have done is just to demonstrate that they support the program and stimulate investment. They are running only 55,000 kits. 55,000 kids cannot even do tricycle in one local government. So we should all see that program more as government demonstrating leadership, that we should go into this rather than we are waiting. And I was expecting, instead of aggressive rollout of CNG throughout in Nigeria, we should maximize the use of all the gas we have. We have CNG, we have LNG, we have LPG. All of them play in different areas. On the CNG, we should focus on aggressive roller in areas that are close to source of gas, so that people in those areas can get a point to get CNG. The LNG, we should be talking of long distance, and LPG, which is widely available that can be used in further area. We should be thinking of using that because it's been tested, it's been used. So we shouldn't be over concentrating on one type of gas, whereas we have diverse type of gas that are useful in our area. Electric vehicle, I'm so happy to see the what is going on there. Despite the fact that we say it's a transition, but the opportunity of converting existing vehicles to use electric is a welcome idea, and it could all support the conversion of vehicles that use gas and the current local production. So where I'm going, the last thing I want to say is that please, we talk enough. I'm tired of attending conferences, to be honest. Professor Abner will tell you. A lot of us that have been participating with NGP, we know what you did in the last 4 years. We, especially local operator, we need to come together and start rolling out plans. Anywhere that we have something done, we should let Nigerians see so that they know that succor is coming gradually. Thank you very much.
We do agree that there is a lot to plan, sir. We agree there is a lot to plan, and it is the need for that plan that has called for this collaborative approach of all stakeholders to put heads together and look at the way forward. Thank you very much for those inputs. We really did enjoy them. The final discussant on this part is Professor Charles Asineme, please. You have 2 minutes. Is Professor Charles with us?
Yes, I'm with you.
Please go ahead, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, please go ahead.
I want to thank you very much for the meeting. It's coming at a very auspicious time when we need to put minds together to solve the mobility crisis in the country. The use of CNG gases to power our vehicles, especially for mass transit, has overstayed. Because by now we ought to have been doing that at a very large scale. So I still thinking that we can explore more how to convert many of these our local buses that use petrol and diesel fuel for passenger mobility. Because when we do that, because the CNG gases are cheaper, when we do that, the cost of transportation and doing business will reduce, which will ultimately impact the cost of food and other things. So I quite support this, and like we said, the School of Transport and Logistics in Lagos University, we're going to bring a position paper to suggest some other things we could do to ensure that this thing works. Lagos is like a laboratory of transportation, so we're in the thick of it. We're going to bring out the paper, and we're going to do that so that we can support what you are doing. Once again, I want to thank you very much for calling me and for bringing up this conference at this time. Thank you very much.
Thank you too. We look forward to that position paper from the Lagos. Thank you, sir. We appreciate that.
All right.
The Director General. Okay, the question, what is the update with the current automotive policies being discussed in today's mobility industry? What is present government stance on the automotive industry? The Director General, please. Is the Director General here with us? I doubt that. I can no longer see him on the call.
Yeah, I'm trying to draw his attention. While we wait for him, can we take 2 more persons to wrap up this discussion while we wait for the DG to take these questions? Can we call on Mr. Chinedu to speak to us 1 minute, and Professor Dewumi? Thank you.
Okay, so thank you once again, and thanks for having us. So to wrap up, I know different stakeholders on this call. Omar, we've been in the sustainable transport space for a while now. We have the right vehicles, we have the right solutions. You'll be seeing us at NTTC exhibition. So look forward to engaging forward, or to engaging forward further.
Yes,
hello?
they have called me.
Hello? So we look forward to engaging further at the exhibition proper. But in the meantime, please feel free to reach out. Nigeria really needs us at this moment, and more collaboration from stakeholders is really required. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. My last word is that the ball must be, our eyes must be on the ball currently. We are in a dire situation now because of removal of subsidy. We were late. NADCs have been shouting, NITT have been talking all along, but for now, we are pushed into it without attending to all this. So what we need to do, we attend to the immediate to ensure that we relieve the pains. And that's why everybody is running helter-skelter. But this body is a body of those in government, and all professionals should guide the government, right from the local government to the state government, on the appropriate palliatives. All this beggarly giving of food will not solve problems. I mean, if you see what they are distributing is peanuts. So they should give people the fish and ensure that the transportation cost comes down. That is the major attention we should give to it. And how that is done, I mean, all of us, all the hands must be on deck. If we see the deck.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. We appreciate those 2 comments from Omar Mutus and Professor Odewumi. I don't know if the Director General is now here with us.
Yeah, he will be with us shortly. He'll be with us shortly. I've reached out to him. While we wait for him in the next 1 or 2 minutes, we can take one other wrap-up. We can take one other wrap-up, probably from Dr. Alban or from Professor Ishaq.
Okay, I'm willing to reinforce the earlier points I made, that we need to have a clear-cut direction. The conversations are fine, but transport does not exist on its own. It exists to solve problems. A lot of emphasis have been laid on the cost of transportation, but the bigger picture is the cost on livelihood. And that livelihood means that access to food has become very difficult. Okay, so it has exacerbated the cost of living, and the number of people that have pushed into poverty and pushed into hungry line have become so much. So we must tie our transport transformation to solutions that are very critical. And I think that food security is one that transport situation and the entire supply chain has really aggravated. So I want to see a situation where we identify the problem and look at the target solution and the net value that will add to the society.
We appreciate
that. Way
that.
we know we are actually solving the problem.
Indeed, it is true. It is true. Thank you very much. The Director General is now here with us, and there are a couple of questions are addressed to him for responses. And one of the questions, sir, please, is what is the update with the current automotive policy? And is the policy accommodating the new realities being discussed in today's mobility industry? What is this present government stance on the automotive industry? The DG, please. Director General, sir.
Hello? Can you hear
Yes, sir,
me?
please go ahead. Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Okay, yes. So we have reviewed the policy and we engaged KPM. Solved. Also engaged Toyota, Volkswagen, and many other global automotive manufacturers to also get their input. We also engaged a consortium of African automotive manufacturers. These are Mercedes, Ford, BMW, that are all operating in Africa to understand how do we give them what they need to come into Nigeria on a grand scale. So we put all that together. We believe we really developed a very comprehensive policy, which got approval by FEC. So with this so that it gets the necessary legal. It's different from how they did it back in the days of Peugeot in the 70s and 80s. When Peugeot was here, they would produce vehicles for Nigeria, in Nigeria. Maybe a few made it to, Ghana or Niger, but Nigeria was the market. France, Nigeria, that was a circle. Now, the way these companies work, they work globally, right? Regionally, Volkswagen would come into a region. They would locate the production of certain components in one country, other components in another country, assemble those vehicles maybe in a third or fourth country. So these companies work regionally. They no longer work in silos. And this policy addresses that. It also puts in place incentives to promote component production. Basically, when you produce vehicles, you're producing components, and then the OEMs get them and they assemble them into a vehicle. So we've addressed that. So like I said, we believe all the key elements that these big companies are looking for, elements that were not present in the earlier version of the we have a specific policy that addresses entails provided environment for.
Thank you, sir. It does appear the network is a bit unfriendly at the moment, but we have a hand up. I believe that's a question. Sikiru Oritola, please can you go ahead with your question?
You know, it's ridiculous. I don't know what we can do, you know, to synthesize the government to solve this type of problem, you know. So it's dangerous for our society. Yeah, this is just my concern that I think I need to raise at this platform. Thank you, sir. Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I didn't hear. What is danger?
I'm talking about this issue of Keke Napep. Using Keke to move over this over 100 meters. It happens here in Mina. They use Keke Napep to move from Mina to Bida, which is over 1 kilometer. So it's quite risky. The government is not doing anything about this. Apart from the fact that this Keke Napep constitutes a lot of nuisance even within the metropolis, not to talk of, you know, using a kind of to travel such a long distance. What I'm saying is, how can we synthesize the government towards this to solve this type of problem in our society? Yeah. This is my question.
Stop those Keke Napeps from going on the.
Yes. To stop them from using it for traveling on long distances. Yes.
Yes.
So
Well, I think
only within the local metropolis, that they can move around. Yeah.
Yes, I believe such wheelers really shouldn't be used on highways. Their stability, I think, should have them confined to nations that have what they call low-speed vehicles and then high-speed vehicles. And the low-speed vehicles only operate in neighborhoods or in places limited. So, and I believe there should be law enforcement agencies with that task or that need to be mobilized to ensure that this doesn't happen. I agree with you. I think it's an enforcement issue that needs to be tackled and enforced.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir.
We appreciate the Director General for his kind responses and those who brought in their questions. As we know, these pre-event conversations are geared towards the main event itself, the National Transport Technology Conference and Exhibition 2023. And to have the Executive Secretary of Nigeria Transportation Commission as Forum give us a special invitation to that event. Ma'am, please, you have our attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. Once again, I sincerely want to thank the DG, Mr. Jelani. Thank you so much for the very brilliant and depth presentation on the subject matter. I must applaud you so much, sir, for what you and your organization, your agency has been doing with regards to alternative transportation system for a sustainable one. I must thank you so much. And I'm proud enough to say that this notice came to you so short, but you were able to deliver. We are most grateful, sir. Thank you so much. And that shows deep patriotism to this nation and your passion for a better transportation system. We are most grateful from the Transport Commissioners Forum. And to every other discussant here, thank you to Mr. Chinedu. Thanks so much to Professor Eseneme, Professor Dewumi, Dr. Alban Igwe, Mr. Funshaw, our own Professor Ishaku, Phoenix Renewable, everyone that has participated this evening. I want to thank you so much for being part of this movement for this growth. And this program this evening is organized by the Nigeria Transportation Commissioners Forum and is indeed to give us a peep into what is expected or what we should expect in our conference coming up on the 31st of October and 1st of November in Lagos State, Eco Hotels. It is the National Transport Technology Conference and Exhibition, where we want to look at how technology can be well in to boost transportation in Nigeria. And like somebody said in the chat room, that in fact, it is as a result of lack of understanding or knowledge that has made us, cried so much over the removal of fuel subsidy. But indeed, it's a blessing in disguise. It's going to give way, room to the embrace of technology in the transportation sector. And we are very much excited about this. We're excited that we're bringing stakeholders together. And like Dr. Albanigwe requested, yes, we will make this known to everyone, to all stakeholders. We are collecting our information. We are also consulting with other stakeholders to come up with a timeline, a blueprint, so to say, a submission, a position paper that at the end of the conference or before the conference, we will make our position, our submission known to the Federal Ministry of Transportation. We will not also relent in thanking so much the Federal Ministry of Transportation under the leadership of the Permanent Secretary, Dr. Mrs. Magdalena Janif, for her support so far. It's been very, very encouraging. We want to thank her. We want to thank the Director of Road Transport and Mass Transit, Mr. Ibrahim Musa, also for your participation and for your support. This conference will be coming up in Lagos. Our emails, our information are on the flyers. We are appealing that we all make it a date for all of us to sit down together and look at the issues that concerns transportation in Nigeria. This program is in partnership with the Federal Ministry of Transportation and the Lagos State Ministry of Transportation, among other sponsors. And we look forward to having every one of us partner with this. To our guest speaker, we will still have the need to meet with you with regards to this conference. We want to have everyone in the house. Mr. Chinedu participated and his company were part of our exhibitors in the first edition last year, and we look forward to having more of you in this year's edition. Thank you very much. I will be calling on the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Energy and Transport, Yobe State, to give us a closing remark. But before he takes his closing remark, I'd like to call on Captain Jonathan Joshua for your comment or question. Please, Captain Jonathan, can we have your question while we call on Dr. Mustafa Gaidam, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Energy and Transport, Yobe State, on behalf of the forum, the Nigerian Transportation Commissioners Forum, to give us a closing remark. Thank you. Captain Jonathan, please.
Yeah, thanks very much, and wonderful presentation today, and everybody, gentlemen and ladies. Good evening, all of us. Just one quick one and an observation, maybe a heads up. I know all the discussions today has been around road transport, rail transport, and what have to do on land. I seems not to have had any conversations or discussions with respect to marine transport, transport in the waterways, and what have you. Is this for a reason, or is it just for the purpose, or that this conference is just going to, or the discussions is going to focus only on land transport? Please, thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Captain Jonathan Joshua. I'm so unfortunate, this is the third in the series. We actually started this series with maritime, with the waterway, the water transportation. And after the water transportation, we had rail. This is for road. The next will be aviation, and we will wrap it up with pipeline. So it's for all modes of transportation. The conference is for all modes of transportation, like you can see. National Transport Technology Conference is not limited to road. It's a cross-cutting event. So it's unfortunate. What I could do, if you can drop us your email address, we will send you the recorded version for water transportation, if that is fine.
Yeah, that is fine. I think I'll just put it on top of on right now on this on the chat. Maybe someone can pick it up.
Please, your email address and your contact number, please. Thank you. We'll be glad to reach out to you. And I'd like to also invite us for the next webinar. We will let every one of us know we have your email addresses. So we'll send you information on the next webinar. Dr. Gaidan, please, can you take us for the closing remark? Thank you, sir.
Each and every one. In conclusion, I would like to express participants and sponsors who have made the second National Transport Technology Conference and Exhibition 2023 resounding success. Our discussion over the past few hours began on exploring other options for sustainable public transport. Urban transportation system has been enlightening and thought-provoking. Insight highlighted the need for innovative and sustainable solutions to address the challenges posed by fossil fuel subsidies areas. Discussion on the mass transit, rapid and cycling structures where the electric cycles, which was being discussed by Jelani, and policy consideration have provided a comprehensive view of the path forward. As we move beyond this conference, let us remember the system is a collective endeavor. The knowledge gained here will be served as a foundation for informed decision and action that will shape our cities and communities. I encourage all the stakeholders to continue to implement the ideas and strategies discussed here. Together, we can create a public urban transport system that is efficient, accessible, environmentally friendly, and aligned with the goals of the forums of the commissioners. I thank you all for your active participation and valuable contribution. Let us continue our journey toward a more sustainable transportation future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you all for the wonderful time and your wonderful contributions and wonderful presentation. We look forward to seeing you at the main event itself. And before that, we look forward to having you in other pre-event conversation series that are coming up within the next month. Please do have a wonderful day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. Unfortunately, just for instance, what do you call it? Eba. I'm not eating it for. I'm not talking on the phone.
For some time.
Any item 7?
In a sec. Good evening, Chinwe. Can you hear?